Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Monday, December 28, 2020. Today I'm going to recap the weekend's NFL, college football, college basketball, and NBA games and look ahead to games in the NFL, college basketball, and NBA tonight. A big Major League Baseball trade happened last night. We'll talk about that. We will recap the season premiere of The Masked Dancer and my best bet of the day. All right, we'll start with the NFL from the weekend. There were one game on Friday, 3 games on Saturday, and then majority of games yesterday, and obviously there is a game tonight, which is the, as you will, the season finale of Monday Night Football. Christmas Day, the Saints over the Vikings 52-33. The Saints go to 11-4, Minnesota 6-9. Alvin Kamara had six touchdowns, and all of them were rushing touchdowns. Drew Brees, 19 of 26, 311 yards and 2 interceptions. Kirk Cousins, 27 of 41, 291 yards and 3 touchdowns. Kamara's was total 22 carries for 155 yards and 6 touchdowns. Unbelievable. And this is an unforgettable game for Alvin Kamara on Christmas. Saturday, Buccaneers over the Lions 47-7. Matt Stafford gets hurt in the first quarter. Tom Brady sat the second half because they had a comfortable lead as the Bucs go to 10-5 and clinch a playoff spot. Detroit drops to 5-10. Tom Brady, 22 of 27, 348 yards and 4 touchdowns. Then Blaine Gabbert came in 9 of 15, 143 yards and 2 touchdowns. Matt Stafford before the injury, 2 of 3, 17 yards. Chase Daniel, 13 of 18, 86 yards. And then David Blau, 6 of 10, 49 yards and an interception. 49ers upset the Cardinals 20-12, so the Cardinals don't clinch a playoff spot yet as San Francisco goes to 6-9, Arizona drops to 8-7. C.J. Beathard started 13 of 22, 182 yards and 3 touchdowns. Emotional start for him because it was the anniversary of the passing of his brother, and he went out and led the 49ers to a win. Kyler Murray, 31 of 50, 247 yards and an interception, 8 carries for 75 yards on the ground. Dolphins over the Raiders, 26-25, in what was an absolute wild of a finish. Miami goes to 10-5. Las Vegas drops to 7-8. Miami is a win away from clinching a playoff spot. Ryan Fitzpatrick came in for the struggling Tua Tagovailoa, 9-13, 182 yards and a touchdown. Tua, 17-22, 94 yards and a touchdown. Derek Carr, 21 of 34, 336 yards and a touchdown. So the Raiders take the lead on a field goal by Daniel Carlson with 19 seconds left, and then Miami goes down, takes 18 seconds to march down the field. 2 big plays by Ryan Fitzpatrick, 44 yards for Jason Sanders for the win. That was just absolutely nail-biting of a game. Vegas, their playoff hopes are dashed. Second straight year for the Raiders where they start off really well and collapse at the end of the year. And Brian Flores, I think, should be the coach of the year, especially if they win next week and they're in the postseason. Sunday's results. Ravens over the Giants 27-13. Baltimore 10-5. The Giants are 5-10. Lamar Jackson 17-26. 183 yards and 2 touchdowns. Daniel Jones 24-41. 252 yards and a touchdown. Chiefs over the Falcons 17-14. A rare low-scoring win for Kansas City. They're 14-1. Atlanta 4-11. Patrick Mahomes 24-44. 278 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Matt Ryan, 27-35, 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. KC clinches the 1 seed, so they're going to be sitting people next week as they play the Chargers. Jets over the Browns, 23-16. The Jets won this game mainly because the Browns were without 4 receivers due to COVID-19. Contact tracing. Jets go to 2-13 and clinch the number 2 overall pick in the draft. Cleveland drops to 10-5. And because of this wide receiver thing, they lose this game, and it could very well cost them a playoff spot. Sam Darnold, 16-32, 175 yards and 2 touchdowns. Baker Mayfield, 28-53, 285 yards. Steelers come from behind and beat the Colts 28-24. Steelers go to 12-3. Indianapolis 10-5. Steelers clinch the division with the win and the Brown loss. And they end their 3-game losing streak, and it looked like it was going to be 4 in a row, but Pittsburgh comes back from 24-7 down with less than 4 minutes to go in the third quarter to win The last quarter and perhaps a half was the best I've seen the Steelers play in about a month. Ben Roethlisberger, 34 of 49, 342 yards, 3 touchdowns. Phillip Rivers, 22 of 35, 270 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. Bears over the Jaguars, 41-17. The Bears are very close to a playoff spot, and they're 8-7. Jacksonville's 1-14. Jacksonville clinches the number 1 pick in the draft, so we know where Trevor Lawrence is going to play, as where everybody predicted he was going to be playing at the start of the season. But one win over the Colts in Week 1 made everybody think in the Jets, and then they lose 14 in a row, and the Jets and them are battling it out, and then the Jets win 2 games out of nowhere, and, not necessarily out of nowhere, and Jacksonville is ultimately in the driver's seat, and they clinch it yesterday. So who the heck knows? They could very well be playing hard next week when they play the Colts in a rematch of that Week 1 game. But the Colts obviously need that game for the division. Mitchell Trubisky's playing a lot better. 24-35, 265 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. Mike Lennon, 24-37, 211 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Bengals upset the Texans 37-31. The Bengals are 4-10-1. Houston's 4-11. Brandon Allen, 29-37, 371 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Deshaun Watson, 24-33, 324 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Chargers over the Broncos, 19-16. Chargers 6-9. And Denver 5-10. Justin Herbert, 21-33, 253 yards, and a touchdown. Drew Lock, 24-47, 264 yards, and 2 interceptions. So the Chargers closing out the season very strong. The thing with that is that, does this save Anthony Lynn's job? The Panthers over Washington, 20-13. Panthers get it done without Christian McCaffrey. They're 5-10. Washington 6-9. Teddy Bridgewater, 19-28, 197 yards, a touchdown, the pick. Dwayne Haskins, 14-28, 154 yards, and 2 interceptions. And then he was replaced by Taylor Heineke, 12-19, 137 yards, and a touchdown. That's unbelievable that Dwayne Haskins, who is a first-round draft pick quarterback, I think 14th overall, gets benched for Taylor Heineke. Ridiculous. And you have to wonder if he's played his last snap for the Washington professional football team, or let alone the NFL, because obviously there's that report out that he was at a strip club without a mask, and the team handled it internally. And I think there's a lot of distractions with Washington right now, and it could very well cost him a division title. Well, it really would cost him a division title is the injury to Alex Smith. So you never know. The winner of the Cowboy-Giant game next week could very well win the NFC East if Alex Smith isn't back. So that's just a big deal. Rams and the Seahawks. Seahawks come out on top, 20-9. The Seahawks 11-4. Rams 9-6. Russell Wilson 20-32, 225 yards and a touchdown. Jared Goff 24-43, 234 yards and an interception, and the broken thumb. So Seahawks wrap up the West title. The Rams. Is there a way that they missed the playoffs? No. That would have been an interesting subplot at the Rams. Well, there is a shot they dropped to the 7 seed if the Cardinals beat them and they lose. And then there's the Bears lurking too. So that's going to be interesting because the Rams have kind of fallen apart, but they are going to the postseason. And Jared Goff injured his thumb in the game as well. And he did not exit the game. Cowboys over the Eagles 37-17, so the Cowboys are still alive in the NFC East. Philly is not. Dallas 6-9, Philly 4-10-1. Andy Dalton 22-30, 377 yards, 3 touchdowns and a pick. Jalen Hurts 21-39, 342 yards, a touchdown and 2 interceptions. And last but not least, the Packers over the Titans 40-14. The Packers are 12-3, Tennessee's 12-5. Aaron Rodgers 21-25, 231 yards, 4 touchdowns and a pick. Ryan Tannehill, 11 of 24, 121 yards, a touchdown and 2 picks as it was snowing in that game, and Green Bay kicked Tennessee's butts. And now tonight we have a game between the Bills and the Patriots, 8:15, ESPN and ABC, the Monday Night Football finale. My projections for this game is Bills by 10.5, total 46.5. Meanwhile, FanDuel has it at Bills by 7 in the total of 140, or the total of 46.5. I almost said 146.5. I'm like, whoops, thinking college basketball there in my head a little bit. I'm laying the 7 with Buffalo. It's the last of my Fab 5 picks of the week. I did spoil that I was saving the last Fab 5 pick for Monday because I really love the Bills. The Bills have been riding high. The Patriots have given up on the season. And Stephon Gilmore's hurt. Cam Newton looks like he's going to play. Patriots are just playing for pride at this point. And the Bills wrapped up that division. They're playing for the 2 seed now with Pittsburgh winning. The Bills are under some pressure here to win these last 2 games because they want to be ahead of the Steelers and try to get home field advantage for the divisional round here. So give me the Bills minus 7 against New England as the last Fab 5 pick. And by the way, I'm slightly valuable at minus 108 as well in terms of a price. Now we'll move on to college football. We'll go over the results from the weekend. We don't have any games today. It was supposed to be the Military Bowl, but that game got canceled due to COVID-19. Christmas Eve, Hawaii over Houston, 28-14. I called that upset in the New Mexico Bowl. Hawaii finishes 5-4. Houston finishes 3-5. Christmas Day, the Camellia Bowl, Buffalo over Marshall, 17-10. Buffalo finishes 6-1. Marshall finishes 7-3. Saturday, number 19, Louisiana over UTSA, 31-24 in the First Responder Bowl. Louisiana finishes 10-1. UTSA finishes 7-5. The Lending Tree Bowl, Georgia State over Western Kentucky, 39-21. Georgia State finishes 6-4. Western Kentucky finishes 5-7. And the Cure Bowl, Liberty upsets number 12, Coastal Carolina, 37-34 in overtime. I called this upset. Liberty finishes 10-1. Coastal finishes 11-1, so Coastal does not finish the season undefeated. So, Liberty and Hugh Freeze go out and finish the year with only 1 loss as well. So, good for them. And in Coastal Carolina, such a great season, but a disappointing finish there in overtime. So, today was supposed to be the Military Bowl between Army and Tennessee. That got canceled due to COVID-19. And tomorrow we have a couple games. We have the Cheez-It Bowl between number 21 Oklahoma State and number 18 Miami. That's a good game. 5:30 on ESPN and at 9 o'clock on ESPN. Tomorrow you have number 20 Texas against Colorado in the Alamo Bowl. So obviously we'll pick those games on the podcast tomorrow. Now we'll move on to college basketball from the weekend. We'll go over all the scores. Not a busy weekend in college basketball due to the holiday. And then we will look ahead to a non-busy slate tonight. So we'll start with the games from Friday. We obviously didn't have games on Christmas Eve. On Christmas Day, we had some Big Ten games. Number 9, Wisconsin over number 12, Michigan State, 85-76. Purdue over Maryland, 73-70. Number 19, Michigan over Nebraska, 80-69. And Minnesota upsets number 4, Iowa, 102-95 in overtime. That was the one game, the one pick I got incorrect on the podcast for Friday. Saturday, number 6, Houston over UCF, 63-54. Louisville over Kentucky, 62-59. Cleveland State over Youngstown State, 87-69. Northwestern over number 23, Ohio State, 71-70. Towson over Coppin State, 73-73. LSU over Nichols, 86-80. Number 1, Gonzaga over number 16, Virginia, 98-75. Number 18, Illinois over Indiana, 69-60. Oakland over Detroit, 77-75 in overtime. Norfolk State over George Mason, 68-65. Wright State over Green Bay, 67-53. And Robert Morris over Purdue Fort Wayne, 102-88. Yesterday's results. Drake over Indiana State, 81-63. Cleveland State over Youngstown State, 81-74. New Hampshire over Hartford, 77-69. UMBC over Binghamton, 74-67. Monmouth over Canisius, 84-66. Eastern Michigan over Olivet College, 94-65. Wright State over Green Bay, 90-77. Stony Brook over UMass Lowell, 73-58. Jacksonville State over Carver, 104-45. Vermont over NJIT, 92-78. Oakland over Detroit Mercy, 83-80. Vandy over Alcorn State, 87-59. Southern Illinois over Evansville, 63-57. Loyola Chicago over Illinois State, 90-60. Missouri State over Northern Iowa, 79-59. Providence over DePaul, 95-90 in double overtime. Purdue Fort Wayne over Robert Morris, 87-82. And UC Irvine over UC Santa Barbara, 75-56. Today's games, we have a couple day games because of winter break. 1 o'clock, we have some AEC action, UMass Lowell and Stony Brook. My projection for this game is Stony Brook by 8. FanDuel has this game, Stony Brook 2.5. So I'm going to lay the 2.5 with Stony Brook against UMass Lowell. Hartford and New Hampshire. I have Hartford as a 14-point underdog, and they're only a 4.5-point underdog. So I'm going to lay the 4.5 with New Hampshire at a very juiced minus 118. Binghamton and UMBC. My projection is UMBC by 30. Is UMBC by 13.5. I'm going to lay the 13.5 with UMBC at minus 105. 2 o'clock, you have Canisius and Monmouth. My projection for this is Monmouth 6.5, but we don't have a line. And NJIT Vermont. My projection for this is Vermont 13. We don't have a line for that either. Loyola, Louisiana, Southern Miss. We can see it, but that's a 3 o'clock game. 5 o'clock, New Mexico State and Cal State Northbridge. My projection is New Mexico State by 26. And it's really 9.5. I'm going to lay the 9.5 in New Mexico State at a valuable number at minus 104. Drake, Indiana State. My projection for this game is Drake by 3. And it is Drake by 4.5. I'm going to take Indiana State. Actually, no, I'm not, because it's a less than 2-point edge, so I have to go to the total 141.5. MVC teams would normally go under, so I'm going to take under 141.5 at a very valuable minus 106. 6 o'clock, Evansville, Southern Illinois. My projection for this game is Southern Illinois by 9, and is Southern Illinois by 8.5. Total 128.5. I'm going to take the under at a very juiced minus 114. 7 o'clock, Maryland at number 9, Wisconsin. My projection for this game is Wisconsin by 22.5, and it is Wisconsin by 9.5. I'm going to lay the 9.5 with Wisconsin at minus 105. Next up is Illinois State and Loyola Chicago on the CBS Sports Network. My projection for this game is Loyola Chicago by 16. The line is 16.5, total 141.5. I'm going to continue my trend of taking Missouri Valley unders, so I'm going to take under 141.5 at a valuable number at minus 106. Carver, Troy, we can skip. UC Santa Barbara and UC Irvine. My projection is Irvine by 2. And it is Irvine. Oh, we don't have a line for this game? Or did I scroll past it? Yeah, FanDuel doesn't have a line for this. ESPN doesn't either. That's interesting. 8 o'clock, Big Ten Network, number 12, Michigan State at Minnesota. My projection for this game is Michigan State by 10.5, and it is only 2.5. I'm going to lay the 2.5 in Michigan State at a juice number at minus 114. Missouri State, Northern Iowa. My projection is Northern Iowa by 9.5, and it is only 3.5. I'm going to lay the 3.5 in Northern Iowa at a slightly juiced minus 112. Fresno State, Colorado State, so some Mountain West action. My line here is Colorado State 4, and it is Colorado State 7.5. I'm going to take Fresno State plus a 7.5 at a valuable number at minus 105. Bradley Valpo postponed. Valpo's COVID issues. 9 o'clock, Northern Arizona at number 1, Gonzaga. My projection is Gonzaga by 49.5, and it is 40.5. For once, I can actually lay it with Gonzaga. I've always been on the other side of Gonzaga on projections this year, but tonight, not so fast. I'm going to lay the 4.5 with Gonzaga at a valuable number 2 at minus 105. Our Lady of the Lord UTEP canceled. 9:30 Colorado, Arizona on the Pac-12 network. My projection is Zona by 8, and it is Zona by 2.5. I'm going to lay the 2.5 with Zona at a juiced minus 115 for tonight. So there you have it for college basketball. Now we'll move on to the NBA. We'll do the results from Christmas Day all the way to last night. And then obviously we will look ahead to a busy night in the association. Christmas Day, Heat over the Pelicans, 111-98. Heat go to 1-1. Pelicans go to 1-1. Duncan Robinson had 23. Zion had 32 with 14 boards. Bucks destroy the Warriors, 138-99. The Bucks 1-1. Golden State 0-2. Chris Middleton had 31. Stephen Curry had 19 with 6 assists. Nets over the Celtics, 123-95. Brooklyn 2-0. Boston 1-1. Kyrie Irving in his return to Boston had 37 points and 8 assists. Jaylen Brown, 27 points and 8 boards. So Jaylen Brown really looks like he's an improved player this year so far. Lakers over the Mavericks, 138-115. The Lakers 1-1, Dallas 0-2. Anthony Davis had 28, and Luka Doncic had 27 with 7 assists. Clippers over the Nuggets, 121-108. The Clippers are 2-0. Denver 0-2. Paul George, 23 points and 9 assists. Nikola Jokic, 24 points, 9 boards, and 10 assists. So he was a rebound shy of a triple-double. Saturday results. Hawks over the Grizzlies, 122-112. Hawks 2-0. Grizzlies 0-2. Trae Young, 36 points and 9 assists. John Morant, 28 boards and 7 assists. Thunder over the Hornets, 109-107. The Thunder 1-0, Charlotte 0-2. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had 24 points and 9 assists. Terry Rozier had 19. Cavaliers over the Pistons, 128-119 in double overtime. The Cavaliers are 2-0. Detroit 0-2. Colin Sexton had 32 points. And Jeremy Grant had 28 points and 10 boards. Magic over the Wizards, 130-120. The Magic 2-0. Washington 0-2. Terrence Ross had 25 points to lead the way, and Bradley Beal had 39 points. Russell Westbrook, by the way, another triple-double, 15, 15, and 12. 76ers over the Knicks, 109-89. Philly 2-0, Knicks 0-2. Joel Embiid, 27 points, 10 boards. Julius Randle, 25 points to lead New York. Pacers over the Bulls, 125-106. The Pacers 2-0, Bulls 0-2. TJ Warren, 23 points, and Zach LaVine had 17. Spurs over the Raptors, 119-114. The Spurs 2-0. Detroit 0-2. Or Toronto 0-2, my bad. DeMar DeRozan, 27 points. By the way, DeJounte Murray had a triple-double, 11, 10, and 10. And leading the way for Toronto is Fred VanVleet with 27. Timberwolves over the Jazz, 116-111. Minnesota 2-0. Utah 1-1. D'Angelo Russell had 25 points and 6 assists. And Jordan Clarkson had 23 to lead the way for Utah. Trailblazers over the Rockets, 128-126 in overtime. So the Rockets debut and came so close to winning without Eric Gordon, John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins due to COVID tracing. Portland 1-1. Houston 0-1. CJ McCollum had 44 points. James Harden also had 44 points, but with 17 assists. Kings over the Suns, 106-103. Sacramento 2-0. Phoenix 1-1. De'Aaron Fox had 24 and 7 assists. Devin Booker had 26 points. Yesterday's results. Mavericks over the Clippers, 124-73. Yes, that's a real score. The halftime score, by the way, of this game was 77-27. Yes, Kawhi Leonard didn't play, but that's no excuse. That is a pathetic loss for the Clippers. And say the excuses all you want for Dallas, that was an impressive win. Luka Doncic had 24 points, 9 boards, and 8 assists. Paul George had 15 points with 4 assists. As the Mavs go to 1-2 and the Clippers drop to 2-1. Nets upset loss. They lose to the Hornets, 106-104. Charlotte 1-2. Brooklyn 2-1. Gordon Hayward had 28 points and 7 assists. Kevin Durant had 29 for Brooklyn. Magic over the Wizards 120-113. Orlando 3-0. Washington 0-3. Markelle Fultz at 26. Bradley Beal 29 with 7 assists. Pelicans over the Spurs 98-95. Pelicans 2-1. San Antonio 2-1. Brandon Ingram had 28 points and 11 boards and 6 assists. Rudy Gay 22 points for San Antonio. Cavaliers over the 76ers 118-94. The Cavaliers 3-0. Philly 2-0. Andre Drummond 24 points, 14 boards. Tobias Harris 16 with 9 boards and 5 assists. And Joel Embiid did not play in the game, so it makes sense to why Cleveland won. So Dwight Howard got the start. And Cleveland won without anything from Kevin Love, who got injured in the game. Sexton looks like the most improved player on that team right now, as I predicted. And this was probably the most surprising result of the night, considering by how much this team won by and the opposing team not sitting anybody. Knicks over the Bucks, 130-110. Wow, Knicks get their first win. They're 1-2. Milwaukee's 1-2. Julius Randle, 29 points, 14 boards, and 7 assists. Giannis Antetokounmpo, 27 points, 13 boards, and 5 assists. So every key player from Milwaukee plays and they get crushed by 30. That, to me, is crazy. Give the Knicks a lot of credit. That was a bad loss against, or not a bad, I guess it was sort of a bad second half against the Sixers after a competitive first half. Competitive against Indiana in the first half. Get blown out in the second half of that game, too. And they really went out and kicked the team that finished with the best record in the NBA back-to-back seasons with the back-to-back MVP. They go out and kick their asses, and they scored 30-plus points in every quarter. So that was one of the more impressive wins I've seen from the Knicks over the last couple of years in the post-Carmelo Anthony era, post-Kristaps Porzingis era, too. And Tom Thibodeau really has them playing hard. Pacers over the Celtics, 108-107. Pacers 3-0. Boston 1-2. Malcolm Brogdon, 25 points. Jason Tatum, 25 points, 11 boards. Warriors over the Bulls, 129-128 on a game-winning 3 by Damian Lee with 1.7 seconds to go. Warriors got a big win, an important first win. They're 1-2. Bulls 0-3. Stephen Curry, 36 points and 6 assists. Zach LaVine, 33 points to keep the Bulls in that game. Suns over the Kings, 116-100. So bounce back win for the Suns. They're 2-1. Sacramento 2-1. Mikal Bridges had 22 points to lead the way. Buddy Hield had 17 for Sacramento. Lakers over the Timberwolves, 127-91. The Lakers are 2-1. Minnesota's 2-1. Kyle Kuzma led the way with 20 points. And Anthony Edwards had 15. And by the way, both LeBron... AD sat out. So, LeBron played, but not AD. They didn't need AD in that game. And Karl Anthony Towns got hurt. So that's a big deal for the Timberwolves. Only 5 games tonight after a busy last 2 days. 7:30, you have the Pistons and the Hawks. My projection for this game is Hawks by 7.5, total 230.5. Meanwhile, the Hawks in this game are favored by 10, and the total is 224.5. I'm going to take the over here. I do have an edge on the Pistons, but the Pistons are terrible. I'm not betting on them. But I have a bigger edge on the over, 6-point edge. I'm going to take the over, 224.5, minus 110. Also at 7:30, you have the Grizzlies and the Nets. My projection for this game is Brooklyn by 4.5. We don't know about any injuries or anything yet. Brooklyn's favored by 6.5, so only a 2-point edge on the Grizzlies. Total 233.5. Tough one. I'm going to take the over. Actually, I'm sorry. I'm going to take the under. I don't feel good about it, but the case for the under is that the Nets defense is actually pretty good. They lost. I don't know. It's just weird that they lost that game yesterday. Some of their key guys couldn't get going, and Spencer Dinwiddie's hurt too. That hurt their bench. But I'm surprised this Brooklyn line's this low, although I do have a 2-point edge on Memphis. But I like the under 233.5. I think Brooklyn's defense is pretty good. I think Brooklyn will win Memphis covers. Maybe Brooklyn wins by 5. Maybe I could say like a 110-105 final. And that would be an under. 8 o'clock, the Jazz at the Thunder. And for those of you guys that remember, this was the matchup that got postponed due to Rudy Gobert's positive test back in March. My projection is Utah 5, total 220. Meanwhile, it's Utah 8.5, total 219. I'm going to take the Thunder plus 8.5. They looked pretty good. Granted, Charlotte stinks. But Utah hasn't looked all that special. They lost to the Timberwolves. So give me the Thunder plus 8.5. I think the Jazz will win. Maybe they'll win by 5. But I just think that this is a competitive game, and SGA will keep the Thunder in it. 9 o'clock, Houston, Denver. My projection is Denver 3.5, total 246. Meanwhile, it's Denver 7.5, total 223.5. I'm going to take the over. I have a huge edge on the over. I have a 23-point edge on the over. And I think that this could go into the 240. So give me over 223.5 despite a lot of injured Rockets and COVID Rockets. So, or COVID absence Rockets. And John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins, and Eric Gordon. James Harden is still James Harden. Christian Wood could put up stats. And obviously we know about Denver. So give me over 223.5. I love it. And then Portland Lakers. My projections Lakers 4 total 234.5. It's actually Lakers 4 right now. I'm going to look up and see if Anthony Davis is playing. If he's not, then I have to adjust the line. So, obviously he did not play last night against the Timberwolves. They didn't need him. So, Anthony Davis has a calf strain. So, it looks like he won't play. I think Davis against the spread is worth 3 points, so I have to adjust this to Lakers by 1. Oof. But if Davis plays, that line's obviously going to go up. And either way, I'm probably going to bet on Portland. But I need to see what the total is. But if Davis plays, this is my projection. If Davis doesn't play, I have to adjust it to 1. And that's amazing. Considering that would be my projection. Lakers only by 1 without Anthony Davis, but obviously with LeBron. So give me the Blazers plus the points. I think Lakers win close, and I won't be floored if Portland wins outright if Davis sits. Now I want to discuss a trade made in Major League Baseball later last night, and I think it was after the Green Bay Tennessee game ended too. Let's see what time the news broke. 11:16. So right as the football game was ending, news breaks from Dennis Lin of The Athletic and Jeff Passan of ESPN that the San Diego Padres acquiring Blake Snell from the Tampa Bay Rays for Luis Patino, Francisco Mejia, Blake Hunt, and Cole Wilcox. Amazing trade by San Diego. They're going for it. You've heard rumors all winter long that not only was San Diego hunting for a big-name pitcher, that the Rays were shopping Blake Snell. So this really shouldn't come to that big of a surprise. It was a surprise in the moment. Then you realize that you heard rumors that the Rays were shopping Blake Snell, and you heard rumors that the Padres wanted to go all in on a starting pitcher. And who knows, the Padres might not be done yet here because Mike Clevenger's out next year, so they might want to go out and acquire another big name. Maybe it's Trevor Bauer in free agency, but damn, Padres, really. I think that assuming that the playoffs go back to normal in 2021, you got to think that the Padres are in play for one of those 5 playoff spots in the National League. I won't be shocked if they're a popular pick to win the NL West next year because the Dodgers, yes, they get better. David Price comes back, and then you get another year from some of those young guys. Gavin Lux there and everything. But the Padres are coming, man. And I would not be stunned if they upheld the Dodgers and won that division next year, especially if they go out and even sign Trevor Bauer. Then they'd have Dinelson Lamet, Trevor Bauer, Chris Paddock, and Blake Snell and Sierra Foursome in that rotation in 2021 if they go out and sign Bauer. They are, to me, one pitcher trade or signing away from potentially being my pick to win the division. And maybe a bat, too. They can use another bat. But San Diego is loaded. They have a star in Fernando Tatis Jr. They signed Manny Machado a couple winters ago. So good on them for really going for it and giving the Dodgers some serious competition in the NLS. Meanwhile, for Tampa, this is obviously a step back. They're in the World Series this year, and obviously they're probably not going to be a popular pick to go to the World Series next year because they lose Charlie Morton to Atlanta, and then they trade away Blake Snell. They lose Hunter Renfroe, so obviously they get worse. The Yankees, if they re-sign DJ LeMahieu and add a pitcher, then they become the favorites in that division. So I think the AL East is a toss-up right now between the Yankees and the Rays. I would have given the Rays an edge if Blake Snell was still there, but Blake Snell's no longer there. To me, if the Yankees, to me, are re-signing DJ LeMahieu away from becoming the favorites in that division again. Or a pitcher ad, because this Blake Snell loss, to me, will be felt for Tampa. Yes, they have depth in their system, but there's so many guys that are unproven. Brendan McKay, unproven. Luis Patino has potential, but he's unproven. Tyler Glasnow, I think, is their best pitcher, and he obviously is right now with these trades. And you would think that the Rays will go out and make a free agent signing to replace these guys. Maybe James Paxton, he'd fit really well with them, and I think he would be a good ad for them. And I could see a world where James Paxton signs with them and goes like 14-5 with an ERA of 2.8 or something like that, and they turn his career around because the Rays are normally good at things like that. But Blake Snell was a Cy Young winner a couple of years ago. This guy is really good and was good in the World Series, and then Kevin Cash pulled him, and the rest is history. So yeah, I was talking to Derek last night, Derek Felix, who's been on this podcast several times. He thinks Snell wanted out of there. He probably did because of what happened in the World Series with Kevin Cash, and that obviously caused friction, and now he's on a contender in San Diego, and now the Rays take a step back. Now the AL East is a toss-up between the two teams. Like I said, the Yankees are adding a quality starting pitcher or re-signing DJ LeMahieu away from becoming the favorites in that division if they aren't already. So, yeah, great trade for San Diego. And I don't mind the trade for the Rays, but I think they're really banking on some potential here with Patino and Mejia. And I like Mejia too. And he could go in and be their DH next year because that guy has a promising bat. But it's not ideal that you've been traded twice over the last couple of years. He goes from Cleveland to San Diego in that trade that sent the closer to Cleveland, Brad Hand. And then he goes to Tampa in this Snell deal. So they're banking on him to finally fulfill his potential, a la Travis d'Arnaud from 2019. And then obviously Patino is somebody that I don't think has advanced past AA, or maybe had one AAA start but it went mediocre. But yeah, they're really banking on potential here with this trade. I don't mind the deal, but it could work out. But I just like it so much better for San Diego, and I applaud them for going out to try to win now. Now we will recap last night's series premiere of The Masked Dancer. An interesting show. Craig Robinson's the host. Your judges are Brian Austin Green, Paul Abdul Kenjong, and Ashley Tisdale. Intro is pretty cool. They had Joe Buck on the voiceover, introducing the contestants and the judges, and Craig Robinson. And then this show is very similar to The Masked Singer, except they have a different Take It Off song, and obviously different contestants. and some different hints. So the first contestant that went was Hammerhead. He's very masculine and strong. There's a hammer necklace, and there's a couple necklaces. He was fast. There were hints about sharks, and there's a burger. There's a Joe cup, so you wonder if this person, his name is Joe. Someone that became famous too fast. He thought that his best moments were behind him. And there's a painting. There's a clock in the 6 o'clock hours, and talks about learning love and life. And he did his dance to Everybody by the Backstreet Boys. And the hint I found in the performance, because you can find clues in the performances, is that Backstreet Boys, Everybody, the song, was played at the end of the movie This Is the End. And the performer did a dance, and then a final move in the performance was in the end of This Is the End, where his fist is up in the air at the very end of Backstreet's Back. All right. So this has me thinking that this is somebody that was in the movie This Is the End. And I am going to give away my guess in a minute. And then the big hint of the show was that you hear their talking voice. And Craig Robinson and company call it Word Up. So his Word Up was dramatic. My guess for this is Seth Rogen. I think it's Seth Rogen because he's somebody that went through a lot in his life. He was in This Is the End. And I could be getting carried away with this clue, or this could be somebody that's associated with the Backstreet Boys too. Paul Abdul had a good guess of Joe Jonas. The Cup of Joe was obviously a good clue. And then obviously the Jonas Brothers were very famous fast, and then they went away for a while, and then they were back in the mix over the past couple of years. But Joe Jonas would be a big get for the Masked Dancer. And then Brian Austin Green guessed Zac Efron, which wasn't a bad guess either. The Tulip went next. There's a picture frame. There's a mini seed and the number 11. This person hints about being teased and bullied. There's a glee club, and then there's an acro club, so you think this could be a gymnast. This person's confidence tumbled. There's clicking heels, so you think somewhere over the rainbow. And then there's a rainbow. And then she says, we're all in this together. This had some people thinking High School Musical. And then she did Fergalicious by Fergie, and there's a tap dance. And this person also did the TikTok sign in the middle of the dance. And then there's the TikTok clue in the clue package as well. And then her Word Up was triple. So this could be a triple threat. Could mean, I thought about triple turn, as in a dance move, triple turn, of triple pirouette. And my guess for this is Maddie Ziegler of Dance Moms, or formerly of Dance Moms. Tulip was shown in the season previews, and there were hints about, or not hints, but clips of her doing leaps, and it reminded me a lot of Maddie's body, so I'm going to go with Maddie Ziegler, formerly of Dance Moms, and that'd be a good get for the Masked Dancer. Ashley Tisdale went with Charlie DeMello of TikTok. Paula Abdul went with Ariana Grande. That's ridiculous. Sorry, Paula Abdul. And then Ken Jeong went with Heather Morris, which is not a bad guess. Next up was the cricket. This contestant is tall. There's a rhinestone on the teeth. Trees. There's a crown. Vegas, a casino. And then there's 902 1000 hint. So that was very interesting. And then there talks about no love, like he wasn't getting any luck in his love life. There's a horseshoe. There's a number 12. And then there were 10 3 times buttons in the casino hint. There talks about Rock and Apprentice. So this could be somebody that was on Celebrity Apprentice. And then 4 aces, which is interesting. And this person performed Jump for My Love by the Pointer Sisters. And the Word Up was accomplished. There's sort of a hint that makes me think that it's this person because there was a rhinestone on the tooth. And obviously this celebrity has an interesting look by the fact that he has like crooked teeth and then like there's a long tooth. And that, my friends, is Michael Strahan of Fox and of Good Morning America. And obviously he was an athlete, he was an ex-Giants player, and he's built like an athlete. I think this is Michael Strahan. I think it'd be a good get for the Masked Dancer franchise. There was a hint in the beginning that there were a combined 23 world titles. So there's obviously athletes on this show, and I think Michael Strahan could very well be one of them, and it would make sense because, not to make comparisons to The Masked Singer, but in every season thus far, there's somebody that is employed by Fox in the show in terms of a contestant. Season 1 was Terry Bradshaw. Season 3 was Rob Gronkowski. Season 4 was Wendy Williams. And then Season 2, if I'm not mistaken, Wayne Brady, one of his shows is on Fox. One of his game shows is on Fox. So Wayne Brady, in theory, would be Season 2. So there's always contestants with ties to Fox. So I'm going to go with Michael Strahan. Ken Jug went with Green Lantern. Obviously, he was in that song Green Light from back in the day. Brian Austin Green went with Ace Ventura, then Jim Carrey, which was ridiculous, and then Ian Zaran. Ashley Tisdale went with Ashton Kutcher, which was, to me, not a good guess. Disco Ball. There's Peace Glasses. I think this is a man. He's very masculine, but the feminine masculine, if you're looking at him because of the way he was dressed. Very fancy costume. A J-bone, a fountain, a shark, a lemon tea. It was iced tea in the clue package and with a lemon in it. And then there's a jail clue. And then there's an eagle. And maybe that was a hint towards Drew Carey from Season 3 of The Masked Singer. And then the mustache was interesting. And the contestant performed Uptown Funk by Bruno Mars. And this is an old school person. I got that kind of vibe. And then his word up was Grammy. So I'm thinking Grammy winner. And because of the J-Bone hint and a couple of other things I noticed, I went with LL Cool J, the rapper. Ashley Tisdale with MC Hammer. Brian Austin Green went to LL Cool J as well, and then throw Coolio and Diddy in there as well, and then Ken Jeong went with Smokey Robinson, which wasn't a bad guess. And the last contestant to go was Exotic Bird. There was a track, so there's track and field hits. The number 17 is interesting. Bang Flag, which was red. Somebody that hinted about becoming famous as a teenager. There was Perfume, there was Rain. Said it wasn't easy. She was attacked. Somebody that's been through a lot in her life with losing and in relationships. And then there were Best by 07 eggs, and then there was a broken egg. And then this contestant performed Con Calma by Daddy Yankee. And this contestant is tall. And her word up was scored. So this could be a hint towards an athlete. They scored high in gymnastics, or maybe this is another athlete scored a goal, scored something, and then there's a hint for Olympic gold medalists in there as well. So scored an album. So scored can mean anything. And then my guess for this is Gabby Douglas, the gymnast, because because of her body and because the word scored made me think of gymnastics. So I could be wrong about this. I'm going to go with Gabby Douglas for now. This is probably my least confident guess. Brian Austin Green went with an Olympic athlete as well. He went with Hope Solo and also said Marion Jones. Paula went with Jennifer Hudson, which I don't think is a bad guess. And then Ken Jeong went with Venus Williams, which I don't think was a bad guess either. And who went home? The disco ball. And the thing that the judges do before the unmasking is that they get to ask a question about the contestant. Paula Abdul's question was, small or big screen? He said both. Ken Jeong asked if this contestant has been on the radio. He said possibly. Brian asked if he's won an award other than a Grammy. He said yes. And then Ashley said, is this somebody from the 90s? And this person said yes. My final guess was LL Cool J. Brian Austin Green went with LL Cool J. Ken Jeong went with Smokey Robinson. Paul Abdul went with Reigns. Ashley Tisdale went with Lionel Richie, which is a little crazy. And who was it? It was Ice-T. And when they went over the Clue giveaways, there's Ice-T in the Clue package, and I would have never thought, and I didn't put two and two together. Now, it was way too obvious. So, if one of the judges picked that up, I would have probably jumped on that bandwagon, but no, even the judges were fooled. So, Ice-T makes some masked history by becoming the first contestant to get unmasked on The Masked Dancer. So, no Masked Dancer again until January 6th. So, this upcoming Wednesday, the 30th, no Masked Dancer. So, Masked Dancer Group B will go on January 6th, and then after that is the premiere of, or the re-premiere of Name That Tune, or I think that's the name of it, where they play first couple notes of the song, and they have to guess the song, which is going to be a fun show. I might cover that on the podcast as well, because I really like that show a lot, and it's a lot of fun, and then it would bring back some memories with songs that people haven't heard in a long time and whatnot. Now, my best bet of the day, brought to you by FanDuel. I got to go with the over in the Nuggets-Rockets game. I have to. Yes, the Rockets are missing a bunch of players, but Denver's defense is not that good. James Harden might go for 40 in this game. So give me over 223 in Rockets-Nuggets for tonight's best bet. So that's it for the show today. I'll be back tomorrow recapping Monday Night Football, NBA, college basketball, and looking ahead to tomorrow's stuff, as well as the college bowl games for tomorrow as well, and any other news that breaks in the world of sports and pop culture, I'll have for you as well. Hope you guys have a great day, everyone.